G'day YouTube. This week's something a little bit different. Yesterday was my partner's 32nd birthday. Happy birthday, babe. So I got to thinking, and this week we're going to be talking all about age and aging. I'm Nate, and this is n8thiest. Oof. Bet you might. Talking about birthdays, happy birthday to the discovery of carbon-14. On this day, the 27th of February, back in 1940, it was discovered by Sam Rubin and Martin Kamen at the University of California Radiation Laboratory. It was used 9 years later to pioneer radiocarbon dating by Willard Libby and earned him the 1960 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Carbon-14 is a naturally occurring isotope of carbon, which just means that it has 14 neutrons in its nucleus instead of carbon's normal 12. The really awesome thing about carbon-14 is that it decays over time. So that means if you get a lump of carbon-14 and wait 5,730-ish years, you'll only have half left. And that's really useful because you can look at a sample of, say, a fossilized animal or a carved piece of wood, analyze how much carbon-14 is in it, and figure out how old it is, so long as you know how much carbon-14 was in the environment that thing was in. The technique's good out to about 60,000 years. Beyond that, we have to look at other unstable elements in the environment, things like uranium-234 and 235 that can be found in the soil or the sediment around the object that you're trying to date. If you're interested, Scientific American has a great instant Egghead video that spells it out in a lot more detail. Now, the trick to this technique is knowing how much carbon-14 was in the environment when your specimen died. Can be a little bit tricky, but we use proxies like tree rings, corals, and regular sedimentation so that we can count back and see what was going on in the past. As you go further back, things get a little less accurate, but hey, what's 1,500 years between friends when you're talking about something that's 40,000 years old? Now, of course, as with all science, there is some error built in, and no matter how much you explain it and how much you detail that error, of course, there are always some crazies that say that unless your technique is perfect, it's worthless. Young Earth creationists dismiss radiocarbon dating evidence out of hand. Read this. When a scientist's interpretation of data does not match the clear meaning of the text in the Bible, we should never reinterpret the Bible. God knows just what he meant to say, and his understanding of science is infallible, whereas ours is fallible. Yes, young Earth creationists, I think your understanding of science is fallible. In fact, it's practically non-existent. Now, radiocarbon dating is great, but it's not by any means the only way of figuring out how old something is. Take people, for example. We tend to come with a birth certificate, which makes it just that little bit easier to figure out how old we are. The title of unambiguously verified oldest person to have ever lived goes to Jeanne Calment of France. She lived an incredible 122 years and 164 days. Between 1875 and 1997. That means in her life, she saw the death of Charles Darwin and also the first time a computer beat a human being at chess. Amazing. She even met Vincent van Gogh when she was 13. I know it should be Vincent van Gogh, but you know, I'm Australian, you'll get over it. Absolutely amazing. In fact, she beats out the next oldest human being by more than 3 years. The oldest person alive today is Japanese supercentenarian Misao Okawa. Now, she has her birthday next week on the 5th of March and will be turning a sprightly 116 years old. Happy birthday, Okawa-sama. Supercentenarian is the word used for people who are over 110 years old. We don't really have a word for anyone over 120 because so far there is only one, so we can just call them Jeanne Calment. It's predicted that of people born today, at least in Western countries, about a third will probably reach 100, though the supercentenarian title will remain elusive. Assuming you don't get hit by a bus or fall off a cliff or something equally horrible, the age you live to depends on a lot of factors, things like your exposure to disease, your lifestyle, and your genetics. In fact, longevity is highly heritable, which means if your parents live to be really, really old, there's a really good chance that you will too. Part of that is down to the size of your telomeres. Telomeres are little bits of extra DNA that live on the end of your chromosomes, kind of like the aglets on shoelaces. Turns out when a chromosome is copied, the process isn't perfect and little bits of these telomeres are left off each time. Eventually, if a cell divides enough, it runs out of telomeres and dies. Sad. Telomeres are linked to apoptosis or programmed cell death, and it turns out that they have a lot to do with aging. Stopping the telomeres from getting shorter, or in fact lengthening them, has been shown in mice to reverse the signs of aging. though it comes with an increased risk of cancer. Telomeres aren't the only thing that causes aging. In fact, many organisms don't have telomeres at all, and yet others do have telomeres but also make an enzyme called telomerase, which replenishes their telomeres, like many species of plant. The oldest known individual plant doesn't have a name, but it's a Great Basin bristlecone pine found in the White Mountains of California. This bristlecone, which I'm going to call Brian, is a youthful 5,062 years old. Brian's location is kept secret in order to protect him. So whilst Brian is the oldest individual plant, he's not actually the oldest plant, not by a long shot. The oldest individual clonal tree goes to Old Chico, a 9,550-year-old Norwegian spruce found in Sweden. Now he ain't pretty, and he certainly is old, but he's not by any means the oldest. The actual oldest tree award goes to Pando, the trembling giant of Utah. A single clonal colony of male quaking aspen that share a single root system, he weighs in at an estimated but very impressive 6 million kilograms, covers 43 hectares or 106 acres, and is estimated conservatively to be about 80,000 years old, though some estimates put him closer to 1 million. So it's not just trees replicating by cloning that gets you to an old age. Take for example the immortal jellyfish. When it gets old or placed under stress, it simply reverts to a juvenile or immature state and starts life all over again. Individual specimens could be any age, there's simply no way of knowing. Chances are most of them get eaten or get damaged too much to reach any significant age. So I guess the fountain of youth may just be a jellyfish. So, I tried something new this week. What did you think? If you like what you've seen, hate what you've seen, or if I got something wrong, let me know. Leave a comment below or tweet me at @NateByrne. That's at the letter N, the number 8, BYRNE. And use the hashtag n8thiest. Subscribe if you want to encourage me to make more videos, and feel free to link this wherever you care to share. Links for all the things I've talked about, as always, are in the description box below. Thanks for taking your time once again to watch my videos. I'll catch you next time. Train. '20th Century Fox. It's pretty good. Okay.